Jinma Rides, translated to English as Golden Horse Rides, is larger than Intamin and B&M, yet many fans of the amusement industry have never heard of them. Today, Jinma Rides is one of the top 3 largest ride manufacturers in the world by revenue. They've built over 300 roller coasters and countless other rides. They continue to grow and over the past few years have positioned themselves to be a serious threat to Western ride manufacturers. This is all while being constantly accused of intellectual property theft. Today we'll examine the growth and the future of Jinma Rides. But first, we have to look at their past, including some of their most important and interesting roller coasters. Jinma Rides was started in 1983 as one of the first Chinese ride manufacturers. They would expand slowly for the first 2 decades of their existence, mostly sticking to low-cost rides designed strictly for the Chinese market. In this time, they would introduce one of the most popular roller coaster models of all time, the spinning coaster. The design of this spinning coaster would become the backbone of Jinma, and still has an influence on their coaster designs today. Jinma remains the largest spinning coaster manufacturer in the world. Their first design of a spinning coaster entered a market that was rapidly expanding and looking for low-cost, thrilling rides. Today, the Jinma spinning coaster remains one of the most cloned coaster models ever made, with over 100 being built. Before 2007, Jinma would also introduce several flat rides, all designed as lower-cost versions of the Western rides they were inspired by, as well as several children's coasters and water ride models. In 2007, Jinma would become a private company, meaning it was no longer, officially anyway, owned by the Chinese government. This would mark a huge change, as Jinma would now focus on dominating the Chinese ride market by innovating, copying, and constantly striving for higher quality rides. The first major coaster to come out of the new Jinma Rides was the SLC. This was designed as a lower-cost option for Chinese parks to get the high-thrill attraction traditionally offered by Dutch manufacturer Vekoma. The first versions of these rides nearly exactly copied a Vekoma version of the SLC installed at Happy Valley, Shenzhen. When comparing the 2 rides side by side, it's easy to see where most of Jinma's ideas for this ride came from. In 2007, they would also introduce a mine train coaster model. This is notable for being one of the first large-scale Chinese-built coasters to allow for more than one train to operate at a time. For the next decade, Jinma Rides would focus mainly on mass-producing the models they had already created, making slight alterations through the years, as well as occasionally debuting new ideas. In late 2017 and early 2018, Jinma Rides would undergo their next phase of expansion, starting by going public, being listed on the Shenzhen Stock Exchange. This would mark a turning point where they would shift their focus to the international market by creating higher quality rides that would fit in at Western amusement parks. This is the track Jinma Rides is on today, having introduced several new models of roller coasters as well as their own design of a roller coaster train unique to their company. Here's a quick review of all the new coaster models they have introduced so far. The Super Spinning Coaster. This is an updated take on the original Jinma spinning coaster. This is a fairly unique ride, featuring updated and modernized spinning coaster trains. Standard models of the Super Spinning Coaster also feature an inversion. When the model debuted in 2017, it was one of the first spinning coasters to go upside down. This was the first model where Jinma started to step away from blatant copies of existing rides and move towards rides that were compelling for buyers for reasons other than their low price. They also released an updated mine train coaster, now featuring up to 4 cross trains, a first for a coaster like this, as well as modernized track and custom ride layouts. They unveiled an updated suspended coaster, now offering new trains and track, with new standard layouts as well as the option for custom layouts. Vekoma, the ride manufacturer they originally copied to make their original suspended coasters, would actually end up following Jinma a few years later, also introducing a modernized version of their original suspended coaster, with a somewhat similar design to Jinma's new model. In 2018, they took a big step forward in creating more desirable coasters, starting with a dive coaster based on B&M's design, though their model uses slightly longer trains. Though their most stunning ride of the year was the Broken Rail Coaster. It's safe to say this coaster was inspired by an older Vekoma tilt coaster, but this ride is very different. It features both standard and customizable layouts, as well as a modern track style also used on Jinma's other new rides. The most important part of this new coaster, though, would be the new trains. These would be the first of Jinma's new standard sit-down trains. These trains have gone on to be fitted on several different types of Jinma coasters that we'll discuss in a moment. These trains were designed for export too, adhering to ASTM standards and using several different designs of restraints. In 2019, they would introduce a new racing powered coaster model, one of the first powered coasters released in the last 10 years. In 2021, Jinma Rides would get their big break, working with Universal to provide 3 rides for their Beijing theme park, with one of them being a family coaster. Italian manufacturer Zamperla talks about their entire business changing after getting the opportunity to work with Disney in the early 1990s. After this opportunity, Zamperla began being taken very seriously in the industry, and their products and installations reflected that. Today, Zamperla is the largest ride manufacturer in the world. It's hard not to draw parallels between Zamperla's experience in the 90s with Disney and Jinma's experience with Universal today. In 2023, Jinma would debut an all-new flying coaster model, using their new track inspired by B&M's design, though this track is different in several ways, and unique trains designed by Jinma that load in a similar fashion to Vekoma's old flying coaster. Finally, in 2023, they would introduce arguably their most thrilling coaster yet, an LSM launch coaster featuring Jinma's B&M type track as well as new trains. This coaster launches at over 60 miles per hour and it caused quite a stir when it opened, with many coaster enthusiasts in the West noting how good the ride looked. Not only was this a unique coaster for Jinma, but no other manufacturer offers a coaster quite like this, making it even more appealing. This also marked the first time in the enthusiast world that Western enthusiasts started to look at Jinma more seriously, with some even calling for their rides to be built in the West. Jinma Rides, for all their flaws, has overcome a lot to get to where they are now. They have a diverse collection of ride models that offer more than just a lower price to compel buyers to consider them, but they still have had trouble selling to the Western world. Jinma has attempted to solve this problem by launching Noble Rides, a shell corporation based in Switzerland. Their role is to sell and engineer rides for the Western market, which Jinma then produces in China. Noble Rides could receive its own video, and if you guys like this video, it will get one. Noble isn't exactly hiding that their rides are created by Jinma either. A quick search on their website will reveal everything you could want to know. But their goal is to help break the stigma around installing a Jinma Rides coaster in a Western park. Because in all honesty, Jinma does look to make some really good rides. They will build just about any ride they are asked to, and they're constantly looking for new ways to improve their existing rides or create new ones. They could be a real disruptor in the rides industry, but none of that matters if no one is willing to take the first step.
Developments in the plans for a huge piece of land by Lake of the Ozarks. Tonight, people will get a look at the plans for a 10-story hotel and family amusement park.
Oasis at Lakeport, an all-new family theme park coming to Missouri in 2025, bought one. They bought a Noble Rides launch coaster, the same launch coaster that Jinma debuted in 2023. This coaster is coming to America. The first major Chinese coaster in America is coming in 2025. Like it or not, it is happening. The unmistakable Jinma Rides train has been on display at IAAPA for the last 2 years. It's real and it's happening. There are also rumors that a super spinning coaster will also be coming to this park, though that's not officially confirmed yet. So with all this uncovered about Jinma Rides, will they ultimately be successful outside of China? In many ways, Jinma Rides have already changed the industry. In 2012, they were kicked out of IAAPA for intellectual property theft asserted by Zamperla. They would return to IAAPA the next year, and in 2023, Jinma Rides has continued to steal technology from other ride manufacturers. I personally observed them doing it at IAAPA in 2023, but the response now is for manufacturers to tell them to go away. That is, if they're even noticed in the first place. B&M allowed these two guys from Jinma to get a very close-up view, taking photos and videos of the new Penguin Shark train. Two representatives from Jinma over here are strategically covering their badges that say Jinma Rides under their jacket and tie. Manufacturers are now becoming almost content with this happening. In a way, it may even be a good thing, driving manufacturers to try new things and explore new ideas. We're entering a very strange time in the industry where nothing is private and all designs can and will be copied, and competition is heating up. It will be very interesting to see where all of these companies are in 10 years. With that discussed, tell me what your thoughts are on Jinma Rides coming to the US and Europe. If you guys enjoyed this video, then let me know if you'd like a follow-up video covering Noble Rides. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.